Hello and welcome back to Listen to This, a podcast for music, about music, and everything in between. I'm Danny.
And I'm Alex. So this episode is a part 2 from last week's where we were discussing soundtracks for media. Last week's focused mostly on movies, and we kind of dabbled into television shows, but this week we're really going to dive more into that because we kind of realized early on that there's definitely another episode's worth of things to talk to as opposed to overloading one episode.
It works because then we can spend more time focusing on how each media uses some of the music, because especially too in some of my bullet points that I have in front of me, it talks a lot about how well they are used in that regard. Yeah. So that'll give us a little more time to play with.
For sure. First, before we dive into that, I hear some new album was released today.
Guess what day it is? Yes! Okay, so Palera finally came out with The Bastards. When you guys hear this, there might be a little bit of a delay, but regardless, The Bastards album finally dropped, and that's the first thing I listened to when I was driving over here. It's like half and half. A lot of it is the songs that they currently already released, like Hang On To Yourself, Lonely, what else is on there? Nervous Breakdown. So there's a lot of songs that they've already released, but then they have some highlights of Tonight Is the Night I Die. It's a very interesting kind of, how do I explain it? It's a very interesting sound to it. It's more tight-knit, more kind of bassy than a lot of the other songs. It was also featured in the promo teaser for Paradise City, which was super cool. So a lot of people got to hear a snippet of that way. Otherwise, Black Sheep is super good, and of course they finally released Masochist. I've been excited for that. I was telling you earlier too, from what I was hearing, a lot of it reminds me of Avril Lavigne's Under My Skin album, where it has that kind of alternative rock and roll, where a lot of it's kind of like that looser sound, but then you really have the bass and the drums connecting it more, where before it was a lot more kind of Beach Boys vibe. Now it's actually kind of getting into that rock and roll sort of niche almost, I guess is a good way to say it.
This is what, their 4th album?
They have The End's Beginning in 2013, Boom Boom Room Side A, and then Side B. Those were released separately. And then The Bastards. So yeah, this would be their 4th studio album.
Perfect time to find a niche.
Yeah.
4 albums in.
Well, their sound too, like I said, they always kind of... Yeah, it's very cool to see how they matured in their sound and how it's highlighting different members now. It's not just highlighting Remington's voice. So they did a very good job, and I can't wait to continue to listen to that album, even though I've probably heard some of the songs multiple times already.
Yeah.
But also, too, Lady Gaga also came out with her album Chromatica today. She had a song Rain on Me with Ariana Grande, and then what I got alerted to was she had a song with Blackpink, because I follow Blackpink on Spotify, and it's called Sour Candy. It's a super lyrically interesting song. I don't like the beat, though. That's the only thing that's keeping me out of it.
The beat or like the instrumental?
Almost the melody. Like,
really?
Yeah. It's a very almost distracting from the lyrics, because the lyrics are so good, and you can hear Blackpink and they do phenomenal, and then Lady Gaga comes in, and it's everything at that point just becomes distracting, and it's just a really hard song to kind of pin down.
Do you think that's because... I have never heard the song before. Do you think that the music track or the melody might be kind of informed by Blackpink's K-pop roots?
I feel like they were trying to incorporate it, but I think they were trying to incorporate Lady Gaga's sound, especially for this album. From what I heard from Rain on Me, they're trying to incorporate her sound and Blackpink's and kind of meld them together.
And you don't think it worked that well?
I don't think it worked that well. Like, don't get me wrong, I like Lady Gaga, I love Blackpink, but some of their, like, I'll always have a hit or miss song, and this one just kind of misses. I mean, talk to me in the next episode and I might love it, but right now I'm just kind of like...
I like Blackpink. That would probably be the one song that would decide whether or not I listen to the rest of the album. I get that. There are definitely songs I can think of where I feel that same way.
But hey, I mean, still check it out, because, I mean, Rain on Me was a decent song, so I'm kind of excited to check out this. I see
she also has one with Elton John. Was that a single at all? Sign from Above, but sign is like cosine, sine, tangent.
I'm not sure. I haven't heard anything about it.
Okay.
She might have released that, but...
Okay. Any other music you've listened to?
Nope, that's been it. I've been waiting for Palais for so long. Yeah. That is just... That
was the big news of the day.
That was the big news for me. That's what I've been listening to and will probably listen to for the next week. So, that's what I got. How about you?
So I've kind of noticed every time we do this, my contribution to this segment isn't necessarily here's the new songs that came out that I've been listening to. It's here's the songs from years ago that I finally got around and have been hearing. Like for example, since last episode, I finally sat down and listened to the entirety of Paramore's album Riot.
Really?
I only knew Misery Business, That's What You Get, Crush, 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 and I listened to the rest, and I'm like, I understand why this was their breakout album, why this is a big one. I think the hidden gem, the non-single hidden gem, is When It Rains, which is a relatively more chill, slower song. It's still punk rock, but it's whatever. But it's very, very, very well done, actually. I enjoyed it a lot. Went back and rediscovered American Hi-Fi, a lot of Fountains of Wayne stuff. I've been listening to more Real Big Fish. They have an album with Zoloft, the Rock and Roll Destroyer.
Excuse me, what?
Buckle up. So I'd never heard of this band, but when I saw the name Zoloft, the Rock and Roll Destroyer, I'm like, okay, it's probably going to be some kind of metal or something like that, because it just sounds kind of aggressive.
Or like weirdly like electronic. Like hardcore electronics.
It's funny you mentioned that.
Oh my god.
So it's actually a 4 or 5 piece band, I'm not sure which. Female vocalist. And they describe themselves as spunk rock. Because they're so upbeat and peppy. I would just go with pop rock. Like, very happy, upbeat things. Thematically, most of their songs are happy. Even when it's about like heartbreak or crushing on someone who doesn't feel the same way. It still kind of has a happy, hopeful feel to it. The way I described it to a buddy of mine was, they're the kind of band I could easily see being featured in a lot of Disney Channel shows.
Oh, man.
Like, I don't want to go so far as to call them childish. I mean, their song, Arg, I'm a Pirate, that's not exactly something you'd play at a wedding, but... But the thing is, it's a very happy feel. And if it's just like a sunshiny day and you're like, I don't care what I'm going to listen to. I'm going to listen to something that sounds happy. Zoloft, the Rock and Roll Destroyer, does a really good job of that. And from doing research on them, the singer, Rachel, she's actually featured in quite a bit of other pop rock / just upbeat rock bands and stuff. Like there's a band, Valencia, I've been listening to for over half a decade now.
That sounds familiar.
I've probably talked about them before, because their album, We All Need Reason to Believe, was written after the lead singer's fiance passed away. And I believe it was the lead single off that album called Where Did You Go? It's kind of a song about heartbreak. And in that song, well, it's a song about coming to terms with heartbreak.
Yeah.
And in between the second chorus and the finale of the song, that little bridge there, there's a female vocalist quietly singing in the background, kind of representing the fiance that lost love. And I realized as I was looking up Zoloft, Rachel from Zoloft is doing that female vocalist. So I've been listening to this girl for years via that song, but never knew she was part of a band. But then she appeared in the Wonder Years Unknown first album, Get Stoked on It. The one that has, like, when you think of Wonder Years albums, you probably start with the Upsides, with the guy in the bird costume sitting down on the sidewalk. Well, they had an album before that. And I'm pretty sure the reason it got censored, like the reason it didn't get as much publicity, despite being well received, is that the album art is Captain Crunch making out with a Kool-Aid woman inside like a dirty motel room. It's really weird. With like Mike Wazowski or something in the background.
That's actually amazing.
Well, she was also featured on that album as well for the song "Zombies Are the New Black." It's also that whole album's just kind of different, because starting with Upsides, the next 3 albums from that they would release were kind of about Soupy's kind of journey with self-discovery, being in your early 20s and not really feeling confident in who you are or where your life's going yet. But Get Stoked On It is just kind of a pop punk album.
Hell yeah.
Okay, then two things. I've been listening to a few other things here and there, but two things I want to say. I was mistaken. Raleigh Ritchie's album was not coming out at the end of this month. It's coming out at the end of next month. I'm pretty sure in the past I said by the end of May it'll be out, but no, it'll be out like June 26th, I think. So I still have to wait for that. And then one person I'm definitely keeping an eye on. So, actually, there's two more things. There's this and then one additional thought. So I'm kind of a sucker for anything that involves Atlas, the god that is holding the world on his shoulders. Stemming from my absolute love of the book Atlas Shrugged. Well, there's a band called Crashing Atlas. I discovered them a year or two ago. They've been around for a hot minute. They're best known for their single Savages. In no small part, I'm sure. Do you remember how in the past when we were talking about Beauty and a Beat, and I'm like, the reason the cover probably has more views is because there's an adorable girl in the thumbnail?
Yeah.
Savages is the same way. Their lead singer at the time of that EP, of that single, that music video, she's an adorable girl. And she's right there in the thumbnail, so, most punk heads would probably go like, oh, cool, she's hot, and click on it kind of thing. Well, the sound of that whole album, honestly, it's heavy guitar and drums, but with some slight synth in the background. Mm-hmm. And interestingly enough, when it's obviously a female vocalist, but it isn't aggressive. She actually has a very soft, gentle voice, which a lot of people weren't a fan of. They're like, there's too much contradiction. She's not like... They felt like she wasn't emoting via her voice the same way the instruments were emoting, which I think was a fair criticism. I just didn't care. I still liked it a lot. I think she has a very nice voice, even if maybe it didn't fit with that genre. Well, she left the band as the bands were getting bigger. She liked the homegrown feel of local bands supporting each other, but then when as bands were getting bigger, they began like using each other and stuff, and she didn't want to be part of that world. Then I also learned she has a kid.
Oh, damn.
Well, since she left, she has had a kid.
Yeah.
Well, so I followed her on Instagram because she began releasing covers, just acoustic covers of like Sex and Candy, the Chainsmokers songs, Honest, an Ed Sheeran song, I think, Kiss Me. And then on Instagram, someone was like, "Hey, do you plan on doing any original stuff?" And she said, after quarantine, she's probably gonna start releasing stuff. So if you ever hear me talk about Shelby Celine, it's the former Crashing Atlas singer who I've been keeping an eye on. Other thing involving Atlas is, so there's the band Shinedown. They're known for their song Second Chance.
Oh yeah, I love Shinedown.
I only know that one song by them, Second Chance, because I like the line. I just saw Haley's comment. I love that line a lot. Well, they released a single called Atlas Falls, and despite, in my opinion, just kind of being a rock band, I actually really like that single a lot. But I'm also probably biased because of the theme of the song.
Atlas.
Yeah. But, so I mean, that's definitely something to check out, and then when the full album gets released, I'll probably look into it, because I really like Atlas Falls.
Yeah, I know Shinedown for, a lot of their older stuff, and then when they started coming out, like, Bully was a really good one, Asking for It, and Double.
Oh, hey, there you go.
There we go. Yeah, I've always kind of followed a few of their songs just because I heard them on JJO a lot. That's the Madison Rock station. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that was like the exclusive station that my dad would play. So you gotta find songs you like, because otherwise you'll just go mad.
Right.
And so I like Shinedown was always that rock band that kind of follows you as you go, because their sound sort of stayed the same, but a lot of their different messages kind of changed, or maybe it's vice versa. Their messages sort of stayed the same throughout, but their sound, radio rock band we all know and love.
Okay, well, yeah, no, that's about all I got. I mean, just otherwise, just various songs here and there. Shall we get into the heat of things?
We shall. I kind of want to start off with where we ended the last episode, talking about the TV show Lucifer. Lucifer. Great TV show, to be honest. Like, I remember seeing the promos for it, and I was just like, what the hell are we doing? And then I realized, get it. Then I realized it was part of a DC comic character. It's sort of what Constantine should have been.
Small context, I'm a DC Comics fan, and DC actually has an entire Hell universe as part of their big multiverse thing, oftentimes used in the Vertigo imprint of comics, for that DC is an umbrella over. Go on.
Can you tell we're nerds? Anyway.
Speak for yourself, I'm glad.
Also did a really good job with where they put the songs in it. Even if they used bands that were popular for the time. For instance, Ex-Ambassadors. That's a lot of for Unsteady.
Oh yeah,
that song was super popular for a while. Well, they used it, but it didn't seem cheesy or misplaced at all. They did a very good job with showing how the devil is feeling based on the songs that they play for that episode. So, for instance, there was one episode that he met a priest. Well, the devil and a priest. But
they're probably not going to share a beer.
Eventually, they did become friends because of music.
Oh, right.
So it was super cool how that always kind of has a pillar in the show. And some highlights from it. So Ain't No Rest for the Wicked, that's kind of their go-to song a lot for the promos. And that was the intro song for it. So you kind of hear it throughout the show. Mm-hmm. Torches, again, by Ex-Ambassadors. It's a very good song. It was well placed. Start a Riot by Banners. Once I heard this song on the show, I heard it everywhere.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's a really good kind of slower song, but I really like the vocals, and it's just a very soft melody, but the vocals in it are like, the scene that they had that song in, it made me like cry. Like that scene, the emotional toll of the scene, plus that song mixed in with it, it just was a great scene, and it was made better by that song, I think.
Interesting. Okay. No, that's great though.
Yeah, it could have been a very, very cheesy scene.
And more added to the scene than tried to take the scene.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course, too. So I've mentioned Barnes Courtney before. They featured his song Hellfire. Of course, a lot of their songs too in their playlist have something to do with the devil or troublemaking or like hell, heaven, things like that. They stuck to their theme. That is a really good use of music in that TV show, and I think that's also why it's so popular.
Well, they're on their third or fourth season now.
They're just released their fourth season on Netflix. They're coming out with the fifth and final season, also on Netflix.
Damn, it's been around that long.
Yeah, really. But the fans are kind of already trying to get the main actor who plays Lucifer to sign on again, and he was like, yeah, I'll do it. So it's kind of seeing if there is a storyline that they can do and how they're going to do it. So far they only are scheduled for one more season.
This is actually like such a serendipitous segue. So there's another show that was going to end after 5 seasons, but fan demand brought it back, and now some people nowadays think that the quality has dropped. Supernatural. And the reason that that's a good segue is because DC Comics, for the longest time, prior to like Daredevil being on Netflix and then all that universe being made, Marvel kind of ruled the movie universe, especially after the MCU was established, and DCEU isn't really catching up with that. But DC ruled TV, and they ruled that with the big precursor, honestly, was Smallville, which, in my opinion, is kind of the formula they used for Smallville back in 2001 became the formula for like every single CW show, and even to an extent like ABC Family.
Oh yeah.
I don't know much about ABC Family shows like Pretty Little Liars or anything like that. So like, or I think Unplanned or not. There was the Secret Life of the American Teenager. I didn't watch any of those shows besides a few things in TV studies classes.
Yeah.
So I can't really speak to them. But things like Smallville, Supernatural, which both had Jensen Ackles as a main character at a certain point, and then further things like the Arrowverse that got established.
Yeah. Oh, I loved Arrow when it first came out.
Those shows, while being basically teenage, early 20s drama with the occasional action fight scene in it,
superhero twist.
They're kind of there's a very formulaic quality to them, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Just after a while, I got kind of bored of it. Mm-hmm. But starting with Smallville, that had that formula. Music was always contemporary music as part of the soundtrack was always a big thing. Like season 1 had a lot of, not a lot of, but had instances of like Lifehouse, Sum 41, and things like that. Then as the series went on, they started getting a bit grittier. And actually, as around like season 6, they stopped focusing as heavily on soundtrack and more on score, with the exception of almost every episode had some kind of song that would end the episode for the last like 2-minute scene or whatever, when things are getting dark or things are still kind of okay for the time being. And then that formula, despite being a CW thing, also translated to DC Universe when that was released in like the show Titans and things like Doom Patrol and stuff, and even some shows that weren't originally in the CW, like Supergirl, which I think was NBC or maybe CBS first. But yeah, like the reason I discovered Charlie Puth's song "One Call Away" is because it was it was played during the happy moment of the last episode of season 1. Because on the line, Superman got nothing on me, because the whole first season is about her feeling
inadequate
in comparison to her cousin. Yeah, like that. But Titans, I believe we were discussing before, actually had a fair amount of songs that we found on there. The big one for me was the Kishibashi cover of a Talking Heads song, "This Must Be the Place," which I just like in comparison. Maybe it's because I heard it first, but I feel like it flows a lot better because the kind of quirky nature of the song works in like an orchestrated, chill sense, despite trying to sound like a legitimate rock song, in my opinion. I know there were definitely other songs that I heard from there. I just can't blanking off the top of my head right now.
I was going to say, too, when you bring up Titans, because that was my next thing. So one of the songs that I got off of it that I really, really, really liked was used in the scene with Starfire and Dick Grayson. It's called Fingerprints. It's like this really smooth pop song. And, ooh, is it good.
I don't remember that scene. Although, in my opinion, season 2 was way better than season 1.
Probably. I haven't seen season 2 yet. But Fingerprints is by Keita Kane. Then to the way they use their songs, especially in the introduction scene that we get to Starfire, they used Heaven Must Be Missing an Angel by Tarvis. Okay. Yeah, I'm probably butchering that, but I'm trying my best. But they use a lot of like AC/DC, a lot more classical songs, like Sunny by Boney M, Kids in America by Foo Fighters. They do a lot of good scenes, and a lot of those scenes are carried by the music.
For sure. Taking a step back from the superhero genre, but also kind of helping add to the drama and seriousness of scenes, are medical dramas. I don't watch Grey's Anatomy. I'm going to establish that right now, because I know Danny will probably talk about Grey's. I personally will not, because I haven't watched the show at all. But things like House, which I love to death, they use songs very well. Things that aren't inherently just dramas, like Scrubs. Scrubs was a big proponent, and its theme song helped the band Laszlo Bane get noticed, because their song Superman was just a song that Zach Braff said, hey, this is a cool song, and showed it to the creator, and he's like, we're going to use that.
We're going to use it. Yeah. And, like, the dramas, too, especially with CW. CW is very kind of young adult teen focused. They kind of always had that niche. Yeah. And so they've been very good with how to incorporate popular media with their stuff. And that was very evident in the Vampire Diaries, where they used a lot of the Fray, Silver Sun Pickups, Smashing Pumpkins. They were very good at finding kind of both obscure songs that were from groups that you probably never heard of, and also using songs that everybody kind of knows from one thing or another. And they were very good at using those in scenes. Towards the end, it did kind of get a little cheesy. They kind of leaned a little too heavy on using songs for emotion. But like the first 3 or 4 seasons, they did very good at melding that together, and then also coming out and giving those songs their own kind of showcase.
Their own kind of platform. Perfect. I wanted to find the exact year here. You would be hard-pressed to find a show that has a serious element, be it over-dramatic or handled well, between the years of 2005 and 2009 that did not, in some episode, in some capacity, use the phrase, how to save a life.
I love that song, though.
It's an amazing song with actually a very melancholic, but awareness-spreading message about suicide and everything, but it became, in my opinion, kind of hokey. Here's the scene with how to save a life. I guess I can only really think of 2 off the top of my head with Scrubs and House, but
I always like Never Say Never from them too. Like Never Say Never and You Found Me. I feel like they're the less used ones.
Is the Fray a Christian band?
I don't know. I always knew, like, I always used to get One Republic and the Fray mixed up because they always had a similar sound, especially from 2005, and then it's like the Fray dropped off. And One
It's like
Republic
2013. I can't think of anything.
I
by
know,
the Fray.
same. But One Republic's still around because they came out with a new album and, Rescue Me and Didn't I? So
Yeah. And Ryan Tedder is just the lead singer of One Republic, is so heavily involved in the music industry. He was a producer and songwriter who one day said, "I want to do a band. I have all these songs I want to do," and then Apologize came out,
and then they got big. Yeah. I do like One Republic too, especially with Counting Stars. Like that song was especially to the music video. I know there's some like probably deep message to it that I'm still trying to work out because you got like the alligator, the crocodile crawling in the church, all that stuff. But
the music video for Counting Stars has a gator in the church.
Yeah. Well, no, it's like a warehouse setup, and this small room is being used for like this like pastor. And so he has like a small group in there, and they're like dancing and singing, and the band is playing underneath them.
For the song Counting Stars?
Yes.
For the next music video episode, whenever we do that, I gotta watch that video.
Seriously, it's a very good music video. It's definitely set up, though, to have some sort of message behind it. I mean, you can pull one out pretty quickly if you wanted, but also to, like, still trying to figure out what that gator means. But anyway.
I don't even know much about the song itself, other than I absolutely love the small synth thing during the music break. So it goes... That's the part of the song I dance to. I just love that quiet synth sound in the background. I suppose I probably shouldn't get on just a Ryan Tedder tangent, because there's a lot I can talk about him with. But, you know, I decided to screw it. I'm pretty sure I can rapid fire Ryan Tedder facts.
Oh my god. Alright. What's your Ryan Tedder tangent?
Well, so he was obviously been featured as just a vocalist outside of One Republic on things like
Gym Class Heroes? The Fighter,
or who did The Rocketeer?
Far East Movement.
Boom, Far East Movement, 3 words, knew it. Yeah, so their song Rocketeer had Ryan Tedder, but then as a songwriter, he's been very prolific to the point where I guess I haven't done too much research into it since, but it's hard to tell whether or not this is plagiarism, because he wrote Kelly Clarkson's Already Gone, and he wrote Beyonce's Halo, which have the exact same melody. Like, they are the same song, just lyrically different. One song about heartbreak, one song about finding, like falling in love with someone.
Yeah.
And it's like, is this infringement in some capacity?
I never noticed that.
Yeah, they're the exact same song.
Like, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I can hear it now, but I don't think I ever really noticed that before.
And I know that Ryan has gone on record saying, no, they're different for reasons like this, but I mean, Vanilla Ice also said Ice Ice Baby was different from Under Pressure, so I don't know what that's about. And I don't know if anything actually ever came of it, because I think at the time I was trying to figure out whether Kelly and Beyonce were on the same label, because if it's the same label and same songwriter and same producer, is that plagiarism? Or is it just 2 different songs? I don't know. He also wrote Jordan Sparks' Battlefield. Why Does Love Always Feel Like a Battlefield? And there is an unreleased demo of... Or I guess I haven't looked into this in like 4 years. But at the time that I was doing this, an unreleased demo where he actually did a duet version of Battlefield. She did the first verse, he did the second verse, and then they sang the choruses together. And it was very, very well done. So that guy's very cool in the music industry, in my opinion. And then for the longest time, my favorite song of all time was All the Right Moves.
Oh, same.
I was I'm always gonna have a soft spot for One Republic and Ryan Tedder specifically.
I always like, it's one of their newer songs, but Kids.
Kids is a good one, yeah. I've only heard it a handful of times, but I know I enjoyed it.
It's kind of a nice, like, summery night song.
That's kind of their niche, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like that vibe. I think of their recent music, my favorite is probably I Lived.
Oh, that was my high school graduation song.
God, I'm old.
That was
in college.
That was one of our. So each class got like a song attached to it, and ours was "I Lived."
Yeah.
And so that kind of has a little special place in my heart. But what was it? "Love Don't Die" was it? Was that them? I want to say it was them because it's the same album in my head. Love Don't Die, that was another good one by them.
As a single? Or a song?
Oh,
rather.
that's The Fray. Oh, I'm cutting that out.
No, come on. That actually helps sell your point about confusing the two
true.
bands.
Like, not that they sound like they have the same sound, but they do have
It's similar.
a similar niche.
I think The Fray is more melancholic and slower, even for like their upbeat songs.
Yeah.
And honestly, so I wouldn't go so far as to say I have ever confused the two bands, but I've definitely compared them. And then actually, I also compare them a lot with modern Coldplay.
Yeah.
Old school Coldplay, not so much, but modern stuff, I'd very comfortably group those three bands in together in some category.
Also, One Republic was featured a lot in this old vampire show with Alex McLaughlin called Moonlight. It was a very campy, gothic style, like detective show that my mom and I used to watch, and they played a lot of One Republic. You're looking this up right now.
Well, Moonlight, I mean, I think of something different when I think of Moonlight.
Yeah, not the movie. It was a TV show, and then it ended up dying because of the writer's strike in 2009.
It actually wasn't the movie I was thinking of. The original, the show that got Bruce Willis his start. Moonlighting. That's what I'm thinking of. Okay. Okay, well that actually brings us back to the TV show topic after I did my Ryan Tedder tangent. There are also, weirdly enough, comedy shows that will oftentimes, not by no means every episode, and by no means even like every 5 episodes, but shows like The Office, Arrested Development, and to much smaller extents, more FX-based shows like The League and Always Sunny. Mm-hmm. Occasionally they will have an actual recorded song, a studio track, playing in their shows that help expand a scene. And sometimes it's done in parody, like the Office wedding episode, when they do Forever and they go down the aisle and stuff, which is a parody of that one wedding video. And then Some Good News did it recently too, where they had the Office cast reunion. But they'll occasionally add a song to. I would like to think it's to add to a scene. Maybe the writers just kind of got stuck, so they wanted to borrow some emotion from a musical cue for an episode or something like that. But it isn't unheard of, and then it's oftentimes used in, not oftentimes, but occasionally used in comedic capacity. Like Arrested Development will frequently use the final countdown for Job's magic act as he makes an ass of himself. Stuff like that.
Kind of going into a different realm of TV shows. So there was this one anime that I started watching. It was called Be the Beginning of Everything. Okay. And the story itself is super interesting, yet it's another detective sort of show with a supernatural element, much like a lot of other sort of animes. But the thing that really pulled me in was the song at the end that they'd play. It was called A Perfect World by Marty Friedman. But that song was so well placed in that, especially towards the end.
Is it an anime? Be the beginning? Mm-hmm. Okay, huh.
It's on Netflix if you had it.
Well, because usually anime will, at least in Japan, they'll hire J-rock or J-pop groups to record intro and closing songs and stuff. Like I'm sure there's entire careers for bands that were established because they made the opening to an anime at one point.
Yeah. There was one band, I just looked them up a few days ago because...
Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas?
No.
Okay, that's the one J-rock band that I actually very much enjoy.
Oh my god, no, it was, yeah.
Oh my... Was it the song Just Awake?
No, let me hear.
Okay.
I didn't... Oh my god, you were right. I just Shazammed it, and then it came up with just the song title. I was like, cool, and then I kept it. I never looked at who the band was, so yes.
Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Yeah. Not like the movie title, because there's a comma after fear. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. No, they're pretty good. They very much in the style of Japanese trends. They have a lot of synth, and I say auto-tune, but a stylistic auto-tune, not a lack of talent auto-tune.
Yeah. It's another interesting take on rock and roll and kind of that alternative sound.
Yeah.
So it was super cool when I was listening to it because it's like, oh, like, that anime is super interesting. It's called Parasite. Not the South Korean movie.
No, I was thinking Parasite, the thing where like the guy has something in his body that like
his hands all messed up.
I've never watched it, never read it. There's a Nate Wants to Battle song inspired by it called Monster Inside that I like a lot. But the only thing I know about it is like the covers of the manga, and to me it just I have been told a billion times it's not, but it just looks like a body horror thing, and I am so not into that. So I'm like, I'm not. I appreciate its success. Just be successful over there.
Be successful. So the last anime I'm going to bring up, and then I swear we'll be over it, but it's another really cool song that was made for... Another really interesting song from an anime was The Seven Deadly Sins, the second part of Season 1, that ending song.
I've seen the first season, but I don't remember much about it.
If anyone has Netflix, it's on Netflix. Otherwise, you can Google Seven Deadly Sins ending 1 full, and that'll usually bring it up because it is a Japanese band and Japanese song. And for the life of me, I cannot pronounce it, and because it's part of the anime, like, a lot of people just kind of pirate it and copy it on YouTube, and that's the easiest way to get the full version, because otherwise you'll only get the show's snippet version.
And oftentimes they'll have like the voice actors talking over and stuff.
And the full song itself is super good. It's a little different, but it's just, there's something about it that's just weirdly, kind of has that weird sunshine feeling to it almost. Especially too when you see it in the show and see the intro to it, where they're all just kind of like flying around and it's sunny and like, and yeah, that's my last anime, I promise.
Well, just like, I'm not going to go into too many specifics, but like anime in general, like I said before, there is an entire market for OPs and EPs for it. Especially if you're a big one, like One Piece has a bunch of different openings and endings. I know that J-pop groups have done things for like The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, and then even for like Ghost Hunt in some capacities. But there's a weird gray area for the topic we're here, because we were talking about soundtracks and not scores. The anime Your Lie in April, well, the score is very good. I'm not going to delve into that, but like the soundtrack uses a lot of classical music pieces, like Beethoven, Mozart, Chopin kind of stuff, because it's about a concert pianist. And I wasn't sure if I should bring that up in regards, because like those aren't like songs written for the show, and there's no vocals. It's just a piano piece in the background, but it's a pivotal part because they're actual classical pieces and whatever. But I don't know how I was going to finish that thought, so I'm just going to change the subject. Jumping back, but on the topic of intros and closings and stuff, they're Smallville. Talking about that again, the band Remy Zero. I don't know anything about them besides their song "Save Me," which for 10 years was the intro to Smallville, and it's like really their only song that sounds like that, which makes me think it may have. It wasn't recorded for the show, but maybe they got some. Maybe their agent was like, "Hey, CW is looking for a band to do a show. Try writing a song for it," kind of thing. Which is also what Bare Naked Ladies did for The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what happened for the Lumineers, too. I think I've told this story before, but I'll just do the spark notes for it. They were a Craigslist band. They got the female band member in through Craigslist, and then their song Ho Hey, which is one of their first songs they actually came out with.
Big one,
yeah, got featured on CW's Heart of Dixie. And it got so popular on that show that CW went back to them and said, "Hey, we're coming up with this new concept show called Rain. It's about Mary Queen of Scots. Would you like to do the intro?" So they did the intro. And then it was right around the time that another one of their albums came out, so they featured a lot of their songs, like Flowers in Your Hair and Charlie Boy got featured on Rain, and that's what grew their popularity. So the CW is like actually very interesting with its relationship with music.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, their target demographic, all demographic really are big movers and shakers in what's popular for things, for better or for worse. I'm not gonna make a stand on either side of that, but it's a big deal. But actually, funnily enough, about The Big Bang Theory, the lead singer of Bare Naked Ladies, Ed, he was like. He's written so many songs for TV shows themes that never got used that he was kind of like, I don't know if I want to bother with this one. But then when he learned that the creator of Big Bang Theory, Chuck Lorre, had only come to their band and said, "I want you to write the song," that's when he was more confident. He's like, he didn't want to compete for a song for a spot. He wanted to just write a song. So anyway, when he learned they were the only ones, he was like, "Oh yeah, I'll happily do it." Damn! I had a thought for after that. Damn. And then another. So there's a TV show. There was a TV show called 100 Questions. It aired for 6 episodes, then got dropped, canceled, never came back. But the reason I first watched the show and enjoyed it a lot was because of the theme song. It's like a maybe 15-second piece just to kind of give you the feel of the show. 100 Questions was honestly kind of a How I Met Your Mother ripoff. Mm-hmm. But the theme song itself was very nice and very happy, and I kind of realized that. Not realized, but it made me think that there probably are entire established bands that exclusively want to do soundtrack things.
Yeah. Well, because you have a built-in audience by then.
Right, exactly. And then if you want to start doing original stuff, then hopefully you would be known for something more than just the TV show band.
Yeah.
One thing I actually kind of feel bad that we didn't, not feel bad, but I'm remiss that we didn't talk about when we were talking about Supernatural is how often they use classic rock pieces. Like, Carry On My Wayward Son is a big piece. And from what I was told by a huge fan of the show was that the reason they focus on so much 80s classic rock is because when they were doing the show, it was the cheapest to license out. Like, doing any modern stuff would be expensive, but this classic stuff, yeah, sure, we'll just use that. So it became part of the main character. Yeah, and it's kind of funny,
too, because that became a huge staple for that show, was the 80s, the, kind of rough and tumble looking guys and stuff like that. So that's actually kind of interesting. Yeah,
just like how the production influenced the show, I guess, as opposed to the show's necessities influencing the production.
Yeah.
And I guess in recent seasons, Dean's got really into Taylor Swift or something like that. Oh, I don't know. I've seen the first 7 seasons, and then that's it.
I saw, I think, the first 2 seasons. Cherry picked the 3rd and 4th, and I haven't really seen anything besides that. I mean, I follow up on it, but
they had an episode with Scooby-Doo. I know that happened. I like Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo. But one thing, too, that I wanted to touch on. What was that face for?
Scooby-Doo. I can actually talk about Scooby-Doo because Simple Plan recorded the theme song for What's New, Scooby-Doo. Oh my
god, yes!
And I love Simple Plan. I love Scooby-Doo.
Oh my god, Ty was just playing that song the other day, too. Apparently, he played the live version
apparently they play that song live still.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
And it's a good version, too.
It's a great song.
Live, it gets even better because you have the whole audience singing it back.
Getting into it,
Oh, Jesus.
Hell yeah.
I would love to be there for one of those.
Yeah.
But, kind of something to touch on that goes along with movies and TV. Even though specifically this time we were focusing on TV, I wanted to bring up a movie album that I forgot.
How dare you?
It's important. So something from kind of my classic genre, Queen of the Damned.
Oh my god.
It's such a cheesy, cliche movie.
That's.
Do not get me wrong.
I am going to go on. Okay, Queen of the Damned.
So it's a very cheesy, cliche song based on the same characters from Interview with a Vampire. I hate that you're mouthing that. So if you don't care about the consistency of that entire story, it's fine. It's a good standalone movie.
If you don't care about the consistency of quality, you should probably watch this movie.
Yeah, I mean, that movie walked so that American Satan could run. Is basically how that goes.
Prior to that sentence, I was interested in watching American Satan.
But I mean, in the relationship between how much the music is not only part or in the storyline, but how much it's a part of the storyline, because a lot of the music that is played in it is also the music that Lestat's band plays.
And the genre of the music and genre of the movie fit well together. I'll give you that, absolutely.
It was kind of the first time where you see the relationship between music and the movie it's in actually have more of a symbiotic relationship rather than the music is here to add to this scene.
In the background.
Yeah.
Well, the movie's what, 2002? God, I'm smart.
2002?
2002.
I was going to say. And then another one that I heard, one time when I was in an Uber, he played this song. And I wanted to say that I knew this song, but it's also kind of like I said, a grungier, sort of darker song, Changed by Deftones. But yeah, it's a very cheesy, campy, gothic style grunge mess. But I think it was
obsessed with sex.
Yeah, but I think it's important for showing the relationship between music
for
and...
a trend that can come. Yeah. I'm sure those things existed before, but I will admit for an aughts contemporary audience, it was definitely a key player. It was definitely a big deal, especially for that era's angsty teens.
Yeah.
We had the CW, they had movies like that.
They had movies like that. And now we have American Satan and Paradise City that sort of follows in that symbiotic relationship between the music and its importance to not only the storyline, but to the overall genre itself.
Yeah, for sure.
Man, I sounded smart for a second there.
No comments. If only it wasn't about Queen of the Damned. I dislike that movie.
I don't blame you.
I don't hate other people for liking it, but I'm like this. I am so not the target demographic for this. And again, only other thing about TV shows, and I'm not sure. It kind of rides the line between soundtrack and score. Is from Rick and Morty, actually.
Yeah.
I've only seen the first 2 seasons. I haven't seen anything past that. But I want to say the season premiere of season 2, maybe it's an episode in the middle, but there's an episode where Beth does surgery on a deer in the middle of a forest. And there's a song that plays called Deer Surgery that I love. It was actually my, alarm song for a while. It's a song that plays while she's doing it. It's, Native American chanting and, like a pan flute sound over a hip-hop beat. It's very well crafted. Correction, not hip-hop beat, just a drum beat. But I actually enjoyed it a lot. Now, it isn't like an actual song. I had to find it on YouTube. You can't go and buy Deer Surgery somewhere. Yeah. But it also isn't just a score, because it isn't playing in the background of a scene. It's a pivotal part. It's about her getting her confidence back in nature kind of thing, because she was feeling bad as a horse doctor and stuff. I think you should check it out, or at least watch that scene again to hear it in the context. It's really good. Then briefly, I don't have too much I can talk about in this field. At least I assume. Maybe Pandora's box will open here. I don't know.
Oh,
but
God.
For video games, in my opinion, the Mac Daddy, the OG video game that got things started, not by way of score, because if you want to go by way of score, it would probably be Doom, because they sampled so many different things to make their aggressive heavy metal pieces. You're going around blasting demons. But for soundtrack, for a band that recorded songs, is the Sonic the Hedgehog series. Starting with Sonic Adventure. So there was a band created called Crush 40. It's by, I want to say it's Jun Sonoe. Maybe he doesn't work for Sega, but I believe he's the composer for the Sonic games.
Crush 40 and Sum 41 should hang out.
Crush the sum of 41. So the Sonic composer.
Or would it be 81?
Dude. Then imagine joining with Blink-182. Think of how high this number could get.
What have we
done? June teamed up with an American singer, Johnny
Appleseed?
Joeli. Yeah, the famous singer, Johnny Appleseed. Everyone's favorite. Teamed together, and they made a rock band where June does most of the music, then Johnny comes up with the lyrics. Mm-hmm. And the song "Open Your Heart" is actually a friggin' amazing rock song. Even if it didn't have the Sonic the Hedgehog name attached to it, you'd be like, yeah, this is pretty good. It wouldn't blow your mind, but it's really good. And Johnny's vocals, he does a good job. So they used the band Crush 40 again for Sonic Adventure 2 with Live and Learn. Then from there, Crush 40 was used for I Am All of Me for Shadow the Hedgehog, and they sang the Sonic Heroes theme, and that's just called Sonic Heroes, so that one can't really have any radio play without being obvious. But they realized how good they can make Sonic soundtracks, so they got a band to do Sonic and the Secret Rings, to do an Arabian Nights themed rock song. Mm-hmm. They did something for Sonic and the Black Knight. They got, who was my favorite band for 8 years, Zebrahead, to do a theme song for Sonic 06. I think I touched upon that briefly in a previous episode, for the song His World. They got the band Cash Cash to do a song for Sonic Colors called Reach for the Stars. Really good song. They got Jarrett Reddick from Bowling for Soup to do a theme for Sonic Unleashed. They got, the band that you and I both like, Danger Kids. They got Danger Things to do the villain theme for Sonic Forces. And all these songs are really well done. It's just kind of cringy to admit. This is from a Sonic soundtrack. But they do a really good job with stuff like that. I can rant and rave about the Sonic songs, but I'm going to avoid doing that just because I'm a grown-ass man in his 20s talking about Sonic songs. Another thing I want to talk about is Resident Evil 7.
Yeah.
They got some singer, I do not remember her name off the top of my head, but they got some singer to record the theme for Resident Evil 7. And you would think that it would just be some like gothic piece, which it very much is. But what she does is she actually samples Jordan Rain. I don't know if it's sample you can be considerate or just takes the lyrics from the song "Go Tell Aunt Rhody," and
I know what song you're talking about now.
And it's a song that starts off as kind of like slow and like a soft drum beat with some eerie off-key strings in the background, and it's as she's singing "Go Tell Aunt Rhody" lines. Then she gets into the original lines when things start getting really messed up about how she's gonna. It's about Resident Evil 7, but lyrically it talks about a woman or lover who gets like separated and then comes together with the old people before and then kills them all.
Yeah.
And with her tone, her drawn out, almost like demented vocals with these off-key strings that are constantly swelling and tensioning and then going down, and swelling and tensioning and going down, it adds to a very, very horror game feel. They did a really good job writing that part.
Yeah, I think they featured that song on one of the trailers, or at least the promo for that game when it was coming out.
Probably.
Because I do remember what you were talking about, and I think, yeah, the production quality of that worked very well with kind of the whole Resident Evil genre, though.
Well, the whole Resident Evil genre, indeed, and then also because 7 was a shift in style of game, it also has a newer feel to it, because it isn't just about survival horror shooting zombies. There's a real, genuine, more indie horror feel to it as opposed to just AAA horror, and I think it does both sides of that very well. The last game, at least for today, I want to talk about is the game Alan Wake, because it ties everything about this episode together. Alan Wake is a game that was released in 2010. It's one of my favorite games of all time. The only bad part about it is the lip syncing, because it was mocapped, but it was made by the game studio Remedy, who's also known for doing the Max Payne games. I think also maybe had a small hand in the Max Payne movie. But so it's a company that's very much about the writing. Like the president head, the developers, the game directors are not the key figures. It's Sam Lake, that studio's writer, who is like the face of the company because of how well he does these things. Alan Wake is written as a TV show. The game is 6 episodes long with bonus episodes, and then there was a spin-off, Alan Wake's American Nightmare, all of which are written in the style of a TV show. Inspired by Stephen King, Twin Peaks.
Was that the...
Flashlight is a big key thing. It's often known as the Flashlight game, if that's what you were going to say.
No, I was going to say, there's one song I...
But they got a band... Oh, I should clarify. Remedy is a Swedish game developer. The game is in English and everything, and all their games are, but there's a Swedish band, rock band, called Poets of the Fall, who apparently is actually good friends with Sam Lake, the writer of the game and everything, who their song War, off like their 4th album, I think, was featured as the ending credits theme for episode 4 or 5 or something like that. But they also posed as... In the context of the game, of the show, there's an 80s, a former 80s rock and roll group or 70s rock and roll group. There are 2 old guys living in a retirement mental rehabilitation clinic named Tor and Odin, because when they were rockers, they had a Viking-themed rock band called Children of Asgard?
Probably, because...
Something like that. Well, Poets of the Fall was the band, and they recorded 2 songs called The Poet and the Muse, which is an acoustic piece, kind of like, when, I think Jamie's Got a Gun by a rock band, but it's kind of a slower piece that kind of finishes with a big rock group thing. And then the song Children of the Elder God, which just sounds like an 80s rock band. I play it for people, and they think, who is this? This AC/DC, and all the vocals aren't right, just like Metallica. And I'm like, no, it's Children of Asgard. God knows it's going to kill me. What is the band?
I think you're right.
Old Gods of Asgard. Old Gods of Asgard. I was combining Children of the Elder God and Old Gods of Asgard. And it was like, and they're like, oh, you don't know this band? Yeah, they're from like the 70s, late 70s, early 80s. And they're like, oh, okay, no, I don't know them. I'm like, yeah, most people wouldn't. But they play those 2 songs despite being soundtracks that are in and of themselves well written pieces, they also are very much incorporated into the story of the game, of the TV show. It's handled very well.
So it's the old gods of Asgard.
Old gods of Asgard. I said children, didn't I? Again. Whatever. Old gods of Asgard. Children of the Elder God. But, like, they even had, like, fake album art made for the band and stuff. Because there's a scene where Alan and his publisher are getting drunk in a cabin. A cabin owned by the old gods of Asgard. And they have the record out. They're playing on a record player. And they have the cover art there. And I actually just found it on Google Images. The actual cover art they made. That's awesome. That whole thing got done for it, and it was really well done. Alan Wake also has other songs by other artists that are ending themes for the episodes, but I don't know any of them off the top of my head. They weren't really stand out for me, but yeah. So I figured it was a nice way to tie together TV shows and video games
all in one go.
Yeah. So yeah, that's how I intended on wrapping this up here. Video games could be a topic I go more into for soundtracks, but that'd be an episode in and of itself, and I feel like that'd be mostly me rambling, because I knew how to play video games before I knew how to talk, which might explain my stutter, but...
just a heads up, probably after this episode, we'll go on, like, a week hiatus, so you might not hear us for one of our Thursdays, but we'll keep you posted on Facebook about what's going on with that. So if you are not a fan of us on Facebook yet, go give us a like so you can keep up with all of our news and all of our episodes as they come out.
Our Facebook is definitely where we post more things. On Instagram, you've been posting a few pictures here and there, but because there's not really many concerts we can go to when the world's hit the pause button, it's hard to post pictures and videos and stuff. So maybe in the future we'll use that more, but for now, Facebook is the place to be. And thank you, everyone, for 100 likes. We, at this moment, only have 4 episodes out, and we already have over 100 likes on Facebook, and I think over 24 listeners per episode, which is remarkable for, again, an out-of-nowhere podcast made by 2 current nobodies. So thank you all very much for the support.
Yes, thank you.
For now, thank you so much for listening, and we will see you all next time.